All right, the Love is Blind reunion came and went, and boy, was I sad because, guys, I have to admit, sorry, I'm one of those people, but I really liked this reunion. I thought it was so good.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I know some people were saying, well, I don't really care about like the old people who had like already been on the show. Like I just wanted to get into like this season's peoples. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But I genuinely really like kind of getting the little updates on the other couples, even though like if someone had gotten divorced, we would have known, right? But I liked the little like flashback, like, hey, let's remind ourselves of what Love is Blind is about. Let's talk about the success, not necessarily the people who haven't made it to the aisle or have gotten divorced. Like, let's just try to keep it positive, which I genuinely enjoyed. Yeah, there were some people that I was just like, okay, we don't really need to talk about it, like Gia and Blake from The Bachelor, which, what a crossover, talking about reality TV, what a crossover. I was like, oh, it's fine, like, not really that important, but I was happy to hear about Chelsea and Kwame, the one couple that I actually am still surprised is still married, because we all thought they weren't even going to make it, like, to the altar. So the fact that Kwame said yes and they're still married, props to them. I liked that little update. I liked seeing Zach and Bliss. I loved Tiff and Brett. Like, these are characters. These are people who I really actually liked seeing their updates, right? Like, I liked them. But overall, I think this reunion really delivered on showing the receipts, holding people accountable, most people accountable. Like, I think it had everything, and I think Nick and Vanessa are like learning much, are doing much better. I know they've gotten a lot of heat over the last couple of years with these reunions, but I personally really liked them. I think they asked the good questions. I think they like really went after the people that needed to be held accountable for their shit. I liked the studio audience there. I liked that it was like actually on the set. I don't know, it made it feel more involved instead of it just being like, hey, we're all in a room and we're recording something with nobody else there. Like, I don't know, I just liked this kind of reunion. I liked that it was like, people in the audience. I liked how it started. It followed them onto the set. I don't know. That's just me, but I genuinely really liked this reunion. Let me know, guys, in a comment below if you thought this reunion was one of the best ones. And if not, which of the reunions was your favorite? Comment down below. But the way I'm going to do this, because, guys, like I said, this episode was so good. This reunion was so damn good that there was a point where I couldn't even write notes. Like, I was, like, literally, like, I was so invested in what was going on TV that I could not sit down and be like, okay, wait, let me pause. Okay, so then Trevor said this, and then Sarah, and I couldn't. There was a point where I literally was just like, okay, I give up. I am just going to hopefully remember everything that happened once I do this recap, because I was just so invested in what was going on. So I'm going to do my best to go through the notes that I did have and then kind of go through couple and see what I can remember the most of, because y'all, I was invested. I was invested. So, like I said, let's start off with our first. We're gonna start off with the easy couple, which was Johnny and Amy. We're gonna start off positive, and then we're gonna get into the crazy stuff. So, Johnny and Amy, woohoo! Still married, still living their best lives. Happy for them. Their families are very close. They call each other all the time. They showed a little clip of them in their whole year's marriage, the things that they've done. They seem to just be having a really great time as a couple, just being funny together, enjoying life, and I absolutely love them. I wish them everything but the best. There was a portion where the previous couples who were there were able to ask questions from the audience, and one of the questions was to Johnny and Amy about condoms not being enough, and the whole ordeal. And then we find out that Johnny just didn't know a lot about how stuff worked, basically. But they said that she is not on birth control and they have made it work. So don't know what they ended up doing, but good for them. They seem to be doing their thing and have resolved that issue. That's that. Then the next couple I want to talk about, which was actually interesting, but because they kept them for the end, which I thought was a very odd to me, because I wish there were two couples that I wish they gave more time to, and this couple was Kenneth and Brittany. There was a lot of weird shit going on with him being on his phone, with him being just so nonchalant during the breakup. And yeah, they kind of talked to him about it, but I feel like they didn't dig in deep enough. That was one of the couples that I feel like I wanted to see more screen time. Because by the time we got to them, I was literally like, did are we not going to talk to Brittany and Kenneth? Because let's just not forget the craziness that was that breakup. So the fact that they were kind of just like nonchalantly talking about it, I don't know. I wanted more, but we find out that they're actually really good friends now. They talk and text all day, and I'm like, oh well, obviously he's always on his phone, so you can't miss it. And I think Nick Lachey like made a joke about that. Like, well, he's gonna be on his phone, so it's gonna be very easy to like find him, right? But they ask him like, hey, did you not realize, like, you're watching it back now? Did you realize just how much you were on your phone? And he was just like, not really, but he kind of blamed it, or his excuse was like, well, I'm a teacher, and I mean, I'm a principal, and I care about my students and their families, and I'm really, really involved. I'm always there. They can always communicate with me. So the fact that I was gone for all this time, like, I needed to, keep in touch with them. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but you're getting married and you're getting to know this person. I'm sorry. That to me didn't justify it, but he still kind of played it on that, like, well, I'm a principal, and I'm very, very close to my students, and I'm very close to the parents, and I am so involved and all this stuff. Okay. Then they asked him about the, being the distant thing, and it was kind of just pretty much as he just said, like, well, everyone processes things differently. I was really upset. Like Clay can testify that I was in shambles after we broke up, and I'm like, really? Because they did not show that on camera. I wish they showed the receipts for that. I was like, can we show the receipts of him calling Clay or something? Because he looked way too nonchalant for somebody who had like just said, I'm going to marry you. I'm professing my love to you. And then he was like, oh, come on, bring it in. Bring it in. We're going to hug it out. Everything's fine. I'm like, no. That was weird. I do wish that another thing I do wish is that they kind of had, dug into it a little bit more. Asked them like, hey, what actually happened? Like, what was it that caused the rift? At what point did you guys realize, hey, something's missing? Like, was it the conversation about having, children? Was it the fact that maybe you realized you weren't too attracted to each other? Like, what was it? They really didn't talk to them about that at all. So I wish they kind of did more, because they kind of just grazed over it. They were just like, yeah, we talk all the time. We're really good friends. And, when we're not dating anyone right now, but when we do date people, we are very, adamant to make sure that the other person knows that, like, that we're really good friends or something like that. I don't know. Basically, that they'll deal with it when they have to date other people. Like, what? They're so close. Because it's pretty much like exes in a way, kind of still being really close, which were Jimmy and Chelsea, is a huge issue, which actually, let's talk about that. Let's go into Jimmy and Chelsea next. So Jimmy and Chelsea were also another couple not very highlighted on. It was very interesting. The only thing they highlighted was, it was a fan question, which was, how is your friend dealing with the fact that Chelsea kind of outed her on national TV? We find out that the friend isn't really talking to Jimmy right now, and they're very upset and all this stuff, because that wasn't, right, that it was shared on TV, all the stuff, which granted, we all agreed. All of us who watched this episode really did agree, or that episode, we all agreed that Chelsea should not have done that. I mean, I think 90% of us have pretty much thought that it was just kind of a little bit, you crossed the line there. That's something that was said in confidence, and you should not be using that against someone to, get them to do what you want. That is something, that's like if someone makes mistakes and then they say they're sorry, and then you bring it up in a fight later. Not fair. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Yeah, not fair. Not fair. So yeah, I did think that they didn't really talk to them about anything else. They didn't talk about their fallout. They didn't talk about their relationship, like very briefly. And a lot of people are thinking like, oh, maybe it's just because like Chelsea was like, please, I do not want to be asked questions. I had way too much heat, and I rather, if I'm going to come to this reunion, I do not want to talk about it. I don't know, because I thought it was very weird. No one mentioned it. No one talked about their relationship going sour. No one talked about their fights. No one talked about her insecurities. The only thing they brought up was the Megan Fox thing, which obviously is a huge thing, and she regrets it. She's just like, oh, it was just something in passing. Like, I wasn't meaning to say it. And I'm like, well, girl, you brought it up. You were the one that says, well, my friends, and I've heard some people say that I look like, what's that girl's name? And Jim Kelly's like, his wife, Megan Fox. Yeah, her. Ma'am, I'm sorry, ma'am, you brought it up. So you can't say like, oh, it slipped out. Like, I didn't mean to say it. No, you meant to say it. And when you said it, you screwed yourself because that's when he saw you. He was like, you don't look like Megan Fox. A no. A no, 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 no. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that she's not pretty, but it's like you do not look like Megan Fox. So you can't create that in his mind because the show is Love is Blind. The moment you start talking about looks, that person's going to envision someone like that, like that. A no. A no. So yeah, it was very interesting. And then they had a like they didn't ask them if they were dating anyone either, unless I missed it. But they didn't ask that like Nick and Vanessa didn't ask if any of them were dating someone. It was interesting because like they would kind of like bicker, but then like after they finished bickering, like he would put his hand on like her leg and she'd like squeeze it, like, "Oh, are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Are you okay?" Like they're like checking in on each other, and I'm like, "This is weird. What's going on here? This is weird." I'm sorry, he broke up with you. What's going on? Like it was very, very, very like they were very, very close. First people who had broken up, and it seemed like it didn't end in the right way, and whatever it was weird. But then it was very odd because we went into like hardly talking about Chelsea and Jimmy to Jimmy and Jessica having a full on segment about their relationship. I'm like, I thought this shouldn't we have focused on Jimmy and Chelsea more? But no, they decided to focus for like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes about Jessica being like, well, I thought that Jimmy and I were friends, but I've heard him talk about in interviews lately, and he's been saying bad things about me and saying that, like, he didn't like the way that I was talking and saying that I got a good edit and saying that I left the room after 10 minutes of talking. And they just start talking about this, and I'm like, why is this important? Like, you guys are not together. Like, this is not important. Like, what I want to know is Jimmy and Chelsea. Like, that's what I want to talk about this. Really, I want to dive into this. I don't give a F about the fact that Jimmy's talking bad about you. Like, you guys aren't meant to be friends at the end of the day. Like, that's not what this is. So, I could care less. I was looking like, okay, we're wasting time. We could have talked about Chelsea and Jimmy during this whole thing. Not necessary. But we do find out, like, Netflix does show the receipts though, because basically what it seemed like had happened was that during their breakup, Jimmy has been saying in interviews that she like after the break like didn't come back, like something just stupid. It's actually stupid to even talk about it. Like I don't even want to get into it because it's actually kind of stupid. But Jessica's like, that's not true. Like we talked for like 2 hours, and he's like, no, we didn't. We talked for like 20 minutes, and she's like, no, we talked for like 2 hours, and Netflix literally showed the clips and the receipts that they were actually in the pod for like 2.5 hours talking about this breakup. I was like, wow, thank you, Netflix, for showing the receipts. We love a good receipt, which actually all started that season with Zinab and Cole. Cole. No, that was the best receipts. That was one of the best receipts. I loved every second of it. And then now let's talk. I'm leaving the best for last, guys. Don't worry, we're gonna get there. Don't. I know y'all are thinking about Trevor and the Sarah Anne thing and all that. We're gonna get there. I just kind of want to go with the less crazy stuff before we get into the real drama and the big juice of the episode that really just loved it. So then we want to talk about Clay and AD. We find out that they didn't talk for weeks after the wedding catastrophe that it was, that when Clay, just a reminder, Clay had said no at the altar and then seemed like he wanted to date her after, and she was like, yeah, no. And guys, I am pleased to report that they did not date after. They actually didn't talk for weeks. Clay really says that he continues to apologize, that he apologized a lot to her, and he said he felt like an idiot afterwards. He regrets his decision, saying that AD is the love of his life. Like, all of these crazy things. And I'm like, okay, sir, if you really loved her, then you would have said yes and worked out through your shit. But one, I don't think he was there. I think he's just trying to convince himself of that because he feels like an idiot on TV. Like, he watched himself out on TV and was like, oh my God, now I feel like an idiot. Like, I should have just said yes. When granted, he made the right decision. He was not ready to marry her. He was not. And there was a point in the conversation where AD was like, you lied to me. I think you used me. You knew you were never ready to get married. And he's like, that's not true. And then she's like, okay, well, then why are we not married? I said, oh, AD.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend. And she is the moment.
I love it. Call him out on his shit because it is true. If you were ready to get married, then why are we sitting on this couch not married, and then you talking about how you regret your decision, but then also saying that that I'm the love of your life? Which then, if we think about it, when we rewind that episode, guys, remember when they're asking him questions and he was like saying, he's like, am I deeply in love? No. Okay, so then if you weren't deeply in love then why are you now? It's not adding up. It's not adding up. It's not. He says he's gone to therapy and that he is bettering himself. He talks about how he was very much, wanting to be like Brett. And that was like his kind of influence on a man that he would want to be in a marriage. And they talked to Brett, and Brett just in the audience is feeling very, very humbled by it, is very, thankful that he looked at him in this light because, two black men talking about it is just such a special thing because it's not something that they would normally talk about. And he, is very grateful to have Tiffany in his life. She's really pushed him, really helped him. And I'm like, well, yeah, AD was really trying to help him. But, but also we can't compare Brett and Clay. Like, Brett and Clay are in two very different parts of their lives. Like, you could tell that Brett had done the work. You could tell that Brett was a man that was in there ready to get married. Like, you just knew. I was like, yeah, this man, he's ready to get married. Clay, he's still on the other side being like, I don't know if I could date you if I don't know what you look like. Okay, that right there, you are not ready. He has so much trauma going on. Like, there's no way that he was ready to get married. And it's very unfortunate that AD did not see that. Speaking of AD, we find out that she actually went on a date with Matthew, y'all. When she said she wanted a date with freaking Matthew, I said, girl, are you, girl, why? Like, why? But yeah, supposedly they went on like 2 or 3 dates. Like, the first one was just like to catch up and, for him to apologize or something like that. And then the next time he like cooked her dinner, which doesn't seem like it was very good. But the whole time, the funniest part about it was the whole time you could see Clay just sitting there like seething. Like, he's just like taking it in like, this fucking sucks. And I was like, oh yeah, you did this to yourself, buddy. Hate to break it to you, but you did it to yourself. But yeah, she just says it kind of ran its course. They were both in very different parts of their lives, lived very different lifestyles, and it just wasn't going to work out, so it just fizzled. And we do find out that Clay actually did know AD had told him, like, hey, I am going to go on a date with Matthew or whatever. But you know how much that fucking pie bothered him. Because remember in the pods when he found out that the other guy was Matthew, he didn't even remember who Matthew was. And when he realized, he was livid. He was like, are you kidding me? Matthew? I'm in competition with Matthew? And then the fact that after you have said no, she still goes and says, hey, by the way, I'm going to go on a date with Matthew. Ooh! Oh! He was probably livid when she told him. He was livid on the couch, even though he was trying to be like, yeah, what are you doing? I'm like, so I could see it in your face. I could see it in your eyes that you are just still livid. You hate it. You hate it. You hate it. But I think it's is it Nick? I forget who it was, but Nick or Vanessa asked him, like, would you date each other? And Clay obviously says yes, absolutely, in a heartbeat. And AD doesn't answer the question. She just says no comment. And I'm like, okay. I think given it time, maybe she might give him a chance. She might give him a chance if like some more time passes. It's already been a year and she hasn't dated him, so I don't know. Maybe it's just not the right time. It could be like a, in a couple of years thing if they still stay in contact and they go on a date and there's still something there, maybe when he's done the work. But I think right now he's still processing all of that. We do find out that his dad didn't really actually say sorry to him. He kind of apologized, supposedly apologized to him in his own way. And I'm like, sir, Clay's dad, why can you not just say, I am sorry. I should not have done those things to you. You should let this go. it has happened to me. You do not need this in your life. I am so sorry what I did to you. Like, that is what you were supposed to do, sir. Sir. That is what you're supposed to do. And the fact that he's just like, Clay's just like, well, he kind of apologized in his own way. I'm like, no. 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 You need to apologize to your son for the shit that you put him through. And apologizing for what he has created. Thank you. That is all I'm going to say. Now, let us get into the nitty gritty, y'all. Let us get into the nitty gritty. Oh my God, the nitty gritty. Oh God, okay, let me get my nose for the nitty gritty. Oh my God, I gotta get my nose for the nitty gritty. Let's talk about Trevor. Y'all, they brought out Trevor. And when I tell you this was the most awkward piece of TV I'd ever seen, this was the most awkward piece of TV I've ever seen. I mean, was it amazing reality TV, like, for this reunion? It was just so good. It was just so good. But goddamn, it was awkward. It was so good and so awkward at the same time. So my favorite was in the beginning of the episode. They were like, "Oh yeah, we have these people, and we have Trevor here too." And then they just show him like in like one of the pods with like a timer, like 30 minutes. Like in 30 minutes, Trevor's gonna come out. Like they had like a timer. That, number one, that kills me. Then when they brought him out, this guy. First of all, I mean, people always say this guy looks like he works at Best Buy. I can't disagree. He walks out with his like tucked shirt in his pants, and he's like like awkwardly kind of like, he's like so big, but then he's like kind of in, and he's just like walking like this, and then he like sits down in between Jessica and Jeremy, and it's incredibly awkward because it's like this huge man. He's just like sitting in between them, like, yep, I'm here. And they bring him out, and Nick and Vanessa just go in. And it was amazing. Because as we all remember, we were all like, oh my God, protect Trevor. Protect him at all costs. He's such a nice guy. I can't believe Chelsea didn't pick him. And to everyone hating this man. Like, this man will be one of the most hated people out of this franchise for eternity. Like, eternity. And we've had some really bad people on these seasons. Bartiste, Shake, really, really bad people on this show. But this is to another level. I mean, the fact that this guy came into the show with a girlfriend already. Oh, and guys, the best part. They show the receipts, and Jennifer and Nick and Vanessa start reading the conversation out loud, and he's just sitting there like this, looking. The camera's on him, and he's just looking down, like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Like, what am I gonna say? Like, this is so awkward. Oh my God, like, I'm being embarrassed. I'm like, sir, you came for a reason. You could have just not gone and just been an a-hole, which a lot of people probably wouldn't have gone. So I give him a little bit of props for even showing up, knowing that he was going to be embarrassed the way that he was in front of everyone like that, and having to be held accountable in front of everyone, and just known that you're going to be like known as a piece of shit forever on the show. Oof. Ooh. Oh my God. So he sits there awkwardly. They show the conversation where he's literally saying like, hey, I'm getting on the plane now. He's talking to his girlfriend at the time, and he's like, hey, I'm getting on the plane now. I love you so much. Oh, I love you too, Pumpkin. I can't wait to see you. Like, I'm not going to say yes to the girl if I do marry her. When I get back, we're going to get married. Like, all of this crazy shit. It's like absolutely nuts. Like, I can't believe that someone went on the show and this happened. Like, it blew my mind. And guys, Trevor has the damn audacity to then tell Nick and Vanessa that this girl he was talking to wasn't really his girlfriend. They were just dating. Like, he had not asked her to be his girlfriend. I said, no. No. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, are you serious, sir? Sir. Sir. I'm sorry, what? No. You just told this girl, "Oh, I can't wait to marry you when I get back. I love you so much." And Nick called him out. He was like, "So wait, you're saying that this girl who you just said all this to wasn't your girlfriend?" He's like, "Well, no." He's like, "Why would you tell someone who's not your girlfriend that you love them?" I was like, "Oh, Nick, thank you, Nick, thank you so much, thank you," because that's what everyone else was asking. Thank you. Oh my, it was absolutely redonkulous what he was saying. And then he started like just spiraling, talking about, he's like, "Oh, like, I know I'm toxic. We were in a very toxic relationship. I'm toxic, blah, blah, blah." And then he went on to say, he's just like, "No, I wasn't in a relationship. I actually went on this show because I did want to meet the person I wanted to marry. Like, it wasn't her." And I'm like, "Well, sir, what was the point of these text messages then? You're lying to us and lying to yourself at the same time. Like, what is this?"
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
There are receipts for a reason. You're telling me you still went on the show. Even if, let's say, what you're saying is true, like, "Oh no, I did go on the show to still find someone that was more of my type, someone that I could get engaged to," but then you were lying to this girl? No. I'm sorry, no. No, Trevor, oh my God. And then Kelsey is just like, "Well, like, what were you gonna do if I would have said yes? Would you have married me? Would you have came on?" He's like, "Absolutely. Like, I did come on the show to meet the person that was right for me. Like, that was real. The person in the pod was real." And at this point, everybody watching is just like, absolutely not. Oh, speaking of people watching, guys, so the other couples that were from the previous seasons were there watching, and it looks like some of them like had no idea what was going on or what was the rumors or anything. Like, they don't really like watch. They were like Kwame, Colleen, Matt, I think maybe Tip. Like, some people just had the most crazy reactions. Like, literally Kwame was like, "Oh my God," like the best reactions. He was literally like, "Oh my God." Everybody in the audience watching all of this was shook at. Like, they couldn't believe the shit they were hearing. Oh my, it was crazy. And that made me laugh. It made me laugh so much seeing these other couples watching what a shit show some of these people were. Hilarious. So yeah, so he just says, "Oh, yeah." So when they had actually pulled up the receipts at first, and then they're like, "Okay, Trevor, do you want to explain yourself?" He's literally sitting there like looking at the floor, going like, "Well, I had something planned to say, and I just I don't know what to say now." And he was caught red-handed. At the end of the day, he was caught red-handed, and he looked like a DSCK. He looked like a dick. Like, oh my God, like just an asshole on TV. Horrible. And he knew like America was gonna hate him. Like, there was like no way that someone would look at this and be like, "Oh, he's such a good guy, though. I believe in him. I do." Yeah, no.
Yeah, immediately no. Immediately no. Immediately no.
No. So what happens after that? So then he just, at some point in the conversation, he's just like, "Can I just leave? Like, I just want to go. I want to leave. I don't want to be here right now." Like, he's just so uncomfortable. It's really hard to watch. And in the end, Chelsea's just like, you can tell she's kind of upset, but I think he says to her, like, "Hey, if you want to talk at some point and get any closure, like, I'm willing to give that to you. I'm willing to talk to you about it. Like, please let me know." And she's like, "Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you." And then Nick is just like, "Okay, well, you said you wanted to go, right? You can leave now." I said, "Oh,
Yes! Yeah!
Nick! Nick! It's the hardest thing I'll ever have to do, to look you in the eye and tell you I don't love you." That is the hardest thing by 98 Degrees. Thank you, Nick Lachey. Nick, you delivered some bombs. 98 Degrees delivered some bombs back in the day. I'm just saying. I liked 98 Degrees. Just saying. They were a good band. They had their hits. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. So yeah, so he leaves, and it's incredibly awkward. Again, that guy, I have no sympathy. No sympathy for the crap that he pulled. It's bad. Very, very bad. So let's end with our last couple or couples or thruple. No, not a thruple, but Laura, Jeramy, and a favorite and our special guest Sarah Anne. So Jeramy is technically Jeramy, Laura, and Sarah Anne were technically the first part of this episode, but they're the most outrageous, so I wanted to keep them for last because of oh my, woo, was it good? It was such good TV. So Jeramy gets there and they're talking to Jeramy, and of course it turns out Laura is not there. Laura is at work, is working from, like, she's in a different country and she's at work or something like that. So they have to Zoom her in. But they talk to Jeramy and they're like, hey, are you apologizing? You know, basically the whole time he's just like, no, like, I'm not apologizing. Like, I'm sticking to who I am, right? And then they ask him if he's dating anyone. And he's just like, yes, I am. And, Sarah Anne comes out and I'm like, oh my, no. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. So they come out, we find out that they're living together, a whole other thing. And then Laura gets in on the fun. So basically Laura calls them a clown. She's like, you guys are clowns. I can't believe that you were acting like this. Like, it is so disrespectful. You haven't even apologized to me for what you did, like, all of this stuff. And I'm like, at this point, this is when my pen started going from fuck, I can't write, to I just put it down and literally just wrote, like, pieces. Because I was so enthralled. I was so invested in this absolute madness. And everyone else who was watching, all the other couples from the other seasons, were mind fucked. Like, they were literally like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? And to quote one of my favorite lines ever from the Jersey Shore, I think I need a mind condom because I'm being mind fucked. Guys, Ronnie, thank you, Ronnie, for that lovely, lovely gem, because that is a gem I will carry with me forever. Literally, so many people in this show were being mind fucked. And they were like, shit, do I need a mind condom? Because what is happening? What is happening? So then they show a behind the scenes moment of actually that we didn't see. It wasn't behind the scenes, but it was a clip that we hadn't seen, which was actually Sarah Anne talking to Laura at the lake house, where she's pretty much kind of like apologizing and saying like, hey, you know, I just wanted to tell you the reason why I did what I did. Like, I knew you guys were married, but it wasn't married. I knew you guys were engaged, but it wasn't like that. Like, I really just wanted to let him know that, like, you know, I was open to have closure with him or something like that. I didn't write the best of notes. I apologize because I was so into it. But basically, Sarah Anne was just talking a whole bunch of shit because you still messaged a guy. Like, at the end of the day, no matter what you tell Laura, like, you still had a very, very inappropriate moment. Like, you at no point should have ever even messaged this man to say X, Y, and Z. Like, you could have been like, hey, I just want to say thank you for the experience. Move on. That's it. But the moment you say, if it doesn't work out, I'm here. What?
Oh, hell no!
That right there already, that has crossed the line, ma'am. It has crossed the line. He is engaged. He is with another woman. And you went and did that shit? Oh. And then this quote is crazy. Like, I felt, honestly, like, at some point, I felt like I was watching Jerry Springer. I was like, is this Jerry Springer or is this the Love is Blind reunion? Because she was going after people. She was like, I don't care. I'm not talking to any of you ladies. All of you freaking took me out of the chat. I don't give a hell. Oh, and what about you? You're talking about me being a pick-me? You're a pick-me, Laura. You're a pick-me, not me. And I'm literally like,
That's my opinion!
oh my God. I'm sorry, what? Literally yelling at Laura on the fucking Zoom, being like, you're calling me a clown? You're a pick-me, not me. And I'm like, girl, you are a definition. You are the pick-me. What are you talking about? You literally sent him a freaking text message that said pick-me. I'm confused. What are we missing here? Like, what are we missing? But honestly, seeing Sarah Anne and Jeramy, like, just like hold on together like they're the most like powerful couple because they were both like the odd ones out. Automatic to me, I was like, y'all are perfect for each other. You deserve each other. You deserve each other. And it's actually sad because I remember when I talked about Sarah Ann in that a couple, in like the beginning episodes when she didn't get picked and how she handled it. I liked it. I appreciated her. I respected her. And then we got here. I said no. It went from like, oh, I like her to what the hell is going on? What the actual hell is going on? Oh my God. And then she was, oh yeah, and then Jessica kind of pipes in and she's just like, it's okay, girl, you had your moment. Remember how you said, I'm going to have my moment? Well, this must have been your moment. Well, you had it, okay? And then that's when they start talking about how we find out that Sarah Ann isn't part of the group chat with the lady. She doesn't talk to any of the girls and she doesn't follow them on Instagram, but follows all of the guys. What? And then we also find out that Jeramy and Sarah Anne live together. And the craziest part about them living together is that Chelsea drops a little gem and saying like, well, I don't really understand this relationship because every single time I see Jeramy, he says you guys are broken up. I said, oh.
What the fuck is going on in here on this day?
The tea. Yes. So you're telling me that these people moved in together, even though they've been on and off, and they're saying that the reason why they moved in together was because they're saying the reason they moved in together is because they were fighting so much that they felt like, okay, maybe if we live together, no. Guys, that's the worst idea. If you guys are on and off this whole time, why do you think living together would actually make this better? Like,
why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
I can't. I'm waiting for the TikTok video. I'm waiting for the Instagram update, whatever it is, saying that they are no longer together. Because it's happening. Sooner or later, they will not make it. It's just no way. Like, I highly, highly doubt it. They're reading really Josh and Jackie right now. Like, very much of Jackie and Josh. Just saying. They're giving me that kind of feel. We find out that I forgot to mention, actually, this happened in the beginning, was they were actually asking Jeramy about him being engaged, and Jeramy kind of really puts it down, being like, no, I mean, I was engaged, everyone in the pods knew it, and Laura knew, and Sarah Ann, and they both confirmed, they're like, yeah, we knew that he was previously engaged, but he says, like, no, I was no longer engaged when I applied to be on the show. When they asked me and I auditioned, I was no longer engaged. That is not true. I was not living in that house. Like, he's just like sticking to his lie. He's saying, no, I was not with this woman. I came into this pod. I'm like, sir, you were engaged twice and now you're dating another girl in what, a span of a year? Does this not give anyone a red flag? Like, where are the red flags? Because Jeramy should be wearing one. He is literally a walking red flag. He needs to just be wearing a red flag. Just saying. I mean, red flag alert. I'm just saying. But turns out then there are these moments, which I didn't really know because I am not on TikTok, but they had these moments with that Sarah Ann that they showed on the screen, which I thought was hilarious. Pull up the receipts. They're talking about her TikToks and how she was just like, oh, you guys wanted entertainment. Well, I'm here to give you entertainment. We are the entertainment. Kind of making it seem like this is all like a joke, like it's not real. And that's when Nick and Vanessa get very, very annoyed because they're like, why are you saying this isn't real? Like, this is real for so many people on this show. And the fact that you're making a mockery out of it is not right. I was like, call them out, please. Call them out. Sarah Ann is just like, no, I do believe that what we have is real. Like, I was just, being funny. Like, she kind of just like tries to cover it up. But basically she's like, no, what Jeramy and I have real. I said, girl, one day you're going to think about this moment and be like, wow, I'm such an idiot. I was such an idiot. Like, why was I acting this on the show over this piece of crap, man? Like, why? Also, I'm so mad I forgot to mention that they kept asking Jeramy why he lied about the location. And he kept saying, like, well, I didn't share my location. And Laura's like, yes, you did. Did you just not think that I was going to follow it? And he says, like, well, I he didn't even know what to say because he knew he was caught in a lie. And my favorite was that literally Vanessa was like, so why did you lie about your location when you knew that she was gonna see where you were anyway? And he didn't know what to say because he was caught red-handed, y'all, with the cookie. He had his hand in the cookie jar. You are lying. Oh, it was so funny. I wish I wrote more notes on this, but my God, just the lies. Ugh. Okay, back to the video. Why? And somebody brought up, which is so true, is like, why did no one ask her, hey, Sarah Anne, what if it were you? How would you have liked if you were engaged to Jeramy and then Laura came and DM'd him privately and said, hey, if it's okay, if that doesn't work out, like, I'm here. Like, how would you feel? Like, no one asked her that. And I'm like, why was this not asked? This should have been asked. Again, I loved this reunion. I loved it. I had a blast watching this. I thought it was great. But they did miss in a couple moments, and that was one of them. We find out more that Laura just is just like, you guys just haven't apologized. Like, that's all I ever want. Like, I just want you to apologize. And then eventually, after like, I don't even know how many minutes of back and forth between these two, Jeramy finally decides to just be like, okay, yeah, like, I'm sorry that happened to you, et cetera, et cetera. And then Sarah Anne apologizes, and she's like, thank you. That's all I wanted. Thank you. And then Laura, comes clean, but decides to, apologize again about the whole bean dip thing. She's like, I've apologized a whole bunch of times to AD on and off camera. So she knows how I feel about it. And then that's when Jeramy's like, yeah, I'm really sorry too. Like, that was stupid of me. I shouldn't have said that. And AD is pretty quiet throughout the whole thing. She doesn't really say much, but yeah. And then Laura leaves, and then that was it for them. But those were the big moments, y'all. That was the big moments of the freaking reunion. I absolutely loved it. Now for a quick little catch up they have with all the couples, they show Bliss and Zach's baby shower, which, my God, so happy. That was a couple that I never, I was shocked, but happy as hell for them. And then we find out that Kwame and Chelsea are also still together, and that Chelsea, is now a casting director for Love is Blind. How the hell did she get that job? I mean, I don't know what she did before, because supposedly the job she had before was very difficult for her to really take time off. So now they're able to travel more, and that she is now a casting director. And I'm like, did she work in that sector before? Like, how did she just randomly get this job? I don't know, but she's very happy. She was wearing pink, as always. They look good together. They look like they're happy. Matt and Colleen were there. They talk about how they're finally moved in together, and she kind of gives everyone their advice, like, hey, I know it's hard after this, but it'll get better. It gets easier. Even with Matt and I, we officially actually moved in. It's okay that, things might not be going the best right now, but they will get better. And I'm like, oh, that's very nice of Colleen. That's so nice of her. They also look like they're in some shape. They lost some weight. They look good. Then we find out, we find out about Brendan and Alexa. Alexa's 5 months pregnant, which we all knew. Turns out that she actually had been having a lot of fertility issues, and they actually were going to start IVF, and then she ended up getting pregnant naturally. So good for them. Brett and Tiffany are moving into a house in Portland and really starting to cement their roots, which is really, really nice. And then our last big update was that Micah, Izzy, and Jessica are all going to be on The Perfect Match Season 2 this summer. I'm very excited. Yeah, I saw the first season of Perfect Match. If you didn't know, you should check out my playlist right over here, because I did cover that on the channel. Thought that was a freaking hilarious show. It was fun, but to be honest, I didn't think it was going to be renewed for a second season. I didn't think it was that amazing that they were going to bring it back, but turns out they did. And turns out also I found out that Trevor was also on that season. Now I'm actually very confused, because the way they were making it seem while there was that they hadn't filmed it yet, that they were going to go to the season. But then somebody said that they already filmed it and Trevor was actually on it, and that now Netflix is wondering if they even want to air him or how they're going to play him out and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't know. So now I'm just confused. I'm like, so did they find love? Are they dating someone? What's the deal? So I guess we'll find out. But season 2, I think they said will be coming out in the summer, I think. Maybe, I'm not sure. But I will be covering it on the channel. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, my friends. I will be covering it on this channel. But guys, that was it. That was pretty much the basis, everything I kind of want to talk about when it comes to this. If I missed anything, I apologize. Like I said, I was so enthralled. I didn't even want to write. I just wanted to watch it. It was so hard for me to sit down and write notes. So I apologize if I missed anything. Let me know, what was your favorite segment? What was your favorite part of this whole reunion? What do you wish they talked a little bit more about? What did you like? What didn't you like? Comment down below. And of course, guys, if you liked this video, if I brought you some value, made you laugh today, click that like button. And you know the drill, guys. If you're not subscribed, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what? Why? I'm sorry, what? Why? I'm just kidding, guys. It's okay if you don't subscribe, but I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.